In this video, I'm taking you on a journey through your human design profile so that you can use it in a practical way to grow your business, to go beyond your plateaus, and to ensure that you're really living in alignment with who you truly are as you make your impact in the world. First, we're going to look at your conscious profile line so that you can lean into your strengths and your natural way of creating success. And then we're going to look at your unconscious profile line, which is even more important because it is playing a role behind the scenes, whether you are aware of it or not. And it can either be a major superpower for you or something that truly hinders your success. All of the information that I share in this video comes from my own human design experiment, combined with 3 years of working with clients using human design and the gene keys. We're definitely going beyond those characteristics that you've likely heard and come to resonate with about your profile. There is a profile cheat sheet linked below so that you don't have to take a ton of notes as you listen. But I do recommend you listen all the way to the end, where I bring both of your profile lines together as a whole. Now, let's dive into your conscious line. Line 5 is the heretic. And if you're a line 5, you've probably heard that you're a natural leader, you're a problem solver or a fixer, and that you're here to provide practical solutions. But what gets less talked about is that underneath that capable, confident exterior, line 5 has this deep desire to know that people value them beyond being helpful. You want to be seen as a capable leader who creates meaningful change. The internal challenge is that you have this need to feel useful and to meet external expectations. So you can tend to overextend yourself to try and control situations or outcomes. Ultimately, the challenge here is that this desire to be of service, to help and to fix can lead you to compromise yourself or to say yes when you really want to say no. And this is rooted in the core wound of guilt. The line 5 wants to live up to expectations, and they can feel responsible for other people's results. They don't want to let anybody down. But over time, this can lead to resenting other people and resenting the responsibilities that you've been carrying, because you are here to experience love, joy, and freedom, just like everybody else. You just tend to be the person that people come to when they need help. And that guilt tells you to say yes, even when you want to say no. How this shows up in business is taking on too much responsibility for your clients' results. So rather than saying, hey, I'm here to guide you, this is the step-by-step process, I can answer your questions and be of support, but the heavy lifting is yours. You can tend to get in there and get kind of messy with them and to just take on too much, which can lead to that resentment. And struggling to set boundaries can look like this over-delivering or over-giving, but it can also look like undercharging for your services. This happens especially if you're newer to business or less confident in what you have to offer. But over time, as you become wiser and you start to feel that kind of burnout from over-delivering and undercharging, most line 5s will change this and set boundaries, set higher prices, and stop saying yes to opportunities that don't feel aligned, or clients that they just sense on an intuitive level are going to be harder to work with or more demanding. So essentially here, the balance is learning to lead without rescuing the people and to empower them to stand on their own 2 feet. The path to growth for the line 5 is to lead with humility. So to set those healthy boundaries, allow yourself to be vulnerable, because line 5 does tend to want to save face and to look good on the outside. But it's okay to not always be right, because people don't connect with you because you're perfect and right. They connect because they trust you. They find value in your solutions and they know that you can guide them to the result that they actually want. So share your systems and methods as a capable guide or ally, but not as someone who does all that heavy lifting. And use your authentic voice to inspire positive change. The key to prosperity for you is that when you stop carrying the responsibility for everybody else and you start leading from authenticity instead of looking good or being in charge, you unlock your next level of growth in your income and your impact. So my question for you here is, how will you feel if you spend your life trying to meet everyone else's expectations instead of empowering them to help themselves? The key to making that happen is to trust that the people you're here to serve don't need rescuing, but rather they need inspiration. They need to be shown what's possible, and they need a step-by-step plan to create the thing that they want to create or to solve the problem that they want to solve. And that's really where you shine. Maybe a few of these things are a little bit hard to hear, but it comes from love and compassion. As a 1-3 manifesting generator, I have had my many trials and challenges in business. And so I am just in this game with you, and let's do this together. Now, let's dive into talking about your subconscious line. If you have done a lot of personal development work in the past, some of this might sound familiar, but it could be a new territory for many of you. The characteristics of this line and the patterns that play out have the chance to either make or break your business. They can be your biggest superpowers or the thing that holds you back the most. So pay special attention here. And then at the end, we'll talk about how both of these lines come together. Line 1 is the investigator. And as a line 1, you've probably heard that you love learning. You'll typically go really deep into the topics that interest you, and you're really good at simplifying complex topics. I am a line 1, and I've made it my mission to simplify human design and the gene keys as a way to help entrepreneurs use them in a practical way. And so whatever subject matter you are interested in, you have that natural gift of simplifying it and teaching it in a way that your people can understand. You're here to create a solid foundation and become an expert in your field. What doesn't get talked about as much with the line 1 is that you have a deep desire to create something meaningful. And it can feel like a lot of pressure to either create something original or to take some diverse concepts and put them together into something new, which again is what I do with human design in the gene keys. They're existing systems that I talk about in a different way so that people can use them in a practical way. The line 1 also wants to reach a level of self-mastery. So it's really internally driven to succeed. And there's this strong desire to live up to your full potential. But while striving to be your best is one of your greatest gifts, it also creates a whole host of challenges. The core internal challenge of the line 1 is the need to prove that you know enough, that you're capable, and that you're successful. So while many line 1s will present this really put together appearance on the outside, deep down, there's this inner turmoil of questioning, am I showing up the way that I want to show up? Will people accept me the way that I show up? Will I provide enough value? What if I make a mistake? So especially when things feel messy on the inside, the line 1 feels the need to have it look good on the outside, and that can be really exhausting. This is rooted in the core wound of insecurity. So fear that you'll make a mistake publicly, be judged, and not live up to other people's expectations. But the problem with this is that there are so many influencers out there now. AI is in full force. And what people are really looking for is authenticity and connection. So if you don't show up in your natural way of being, then people don't get the benefit of what you have to share. Think for a moment about the people that you follow. Do you follow them because they're perfect or because they're relatable and they provide value? If you open up your podcast app or your YouTube home feed, wherever you spend most of your time, check out the top people that you follow and ask yourself, what draws me to these people? And I guarantee it's not that they're perfect, put together, and know their subject matter to a T. So how your core wound shows up in business is that you over prepare for things like presentations, webinars, master classes. constantly refine and perfect things behind the scenes. It could be your website, it could be your niche, your offer, your message, whatever it is, the flavor of the week, whatever you're working on that week. Delaying things. It leads to delaying launches and client attracting activities. And you can tend to show up overly polished or curated. So you tell yourself that you're just making sure that everything's put together well so that you can show up in integrity and teach from a place of deep knowledge. But the irony is, while you're waiting to feel ready and getting everything prepared behind the scenes, somebody who knows way less than you and has less integrity than you, but is willing to be seen, is showing up and becoming the leading expert in your niche. So the path to growth for the line one isn't to learn more or to become more qualified. It's to radically accept yourself, to honor your own gifts, to embrace your quirks, and to allow yourself to be imperfect. To trust that teaching and leading with integrity doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from your genuine desire to serve people well. So when you let go of having to have everything figured out and you find the courage to authentically express yourself, something shifts. You exude this relaxed confidence, and that inspires other people to also show up as their authentic selves. So the key to prosperity for you is that when you teach and lead without trying to be perfect, you unlock your next level of income and impact. And the question I have for you is, how will you feel if you never create the thing that you know you're here to create? Like, what if you never become the thought leader that you know you are? Not even that you're just capable of being, but that you already are. And what if you never create the impact that you feel called to make because you're too busy behind the scenes, learning, perfecting, and trying to get it right? Something that I'll leave you with for your line one is to trust that when you show up as you, the right people will be drawn to you, not because you're getting it right, but because they resonate with the real you and they're finding value in what you have to say. When we look at the 5-1 profile as a whole, we have the Heretic-Investigator. So the line 5 side of you has this desire to go out into the world and to help people in a practical way, to be of service and to solve problems. The line 1 can get stuck in that research and student mode, constantly preparing and perfecting. So you're not actually going out into the world and making that difference as the leader that you are. So what I recommend doing is download the profile cheat sheet, review the core wound for each of your lines, and then begin leaning into the keys to prosperity. Because when you do, you'll find that balance between learning your subject matter on a deep level and actually going out into the world and delivering it in a way that makes a difference. And that's what really leads to building your business and making money so you can lead the life that you truly want to live. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated and if you found it valuable, please consider subscribing to this channel and even sharing it with a business friend who may share the same profile as you. I will see you in the next video.